Millions of years ago, before cities rose from the earth, before civilization as we know it, before humanity claimed dominance over this planet, giants walked among us. You've seen them in movies, read about them in myths, dismissed them as legends. But what if I told you they were real? What if the stories weren't fiction? What if ancient humans actually fought for survival against creatures that stood 15 feet tall? What if our ancestors were forced underground, hiding in caves, praying the giants wouldn't find them? Tonight, I'm sharing 5 true encounters with giants. Real places, real evidence, real terror. Stories that prove humanity once lived as prey. And these titans, these monsters from our past, they nearly wiped us out. Stay with me, and if these stories make you question everything you know about human history, hit subscribe. Because some legends are based on truth, and some monsters were never just myths. Welcome to Horror Nexus. Northern Nevada, Lovelock Cave, 1911. The year miners discovered evidence of a genocide that happened thousands of years ago. A genocide committed by giants against humans. My name is Dr. Sarah Winters, 43 years old, archaeological anthropologist specializing in Native American history. I've spent 20 years studying the Paiute tribe's oral traditions, and one story kept appearing. The story of the Sitika, red-haired giants, cannibals, hunters of men. For decades, academic circles dismissed it as mythology, tribal folklore, exaggeration. Until we found the cave. Until we found the bones. Until we realized the Paiute weren't lying. The story begins roughly 3,000 years ago. Northern Nevada was populated by the Paiute people. Peaceful, agricultural, family-oriented. They lived in harmony with the land. Hunted, gathered, raised children. Then the Sitika arrived. The Paiute elders described them as giants, taller than any human, red hair covering their bodies, skin pale like death. And they ate people. Not out of necessity, not during famine. They preferred human flesh. The Paiute oral history describes how the Sitika would raid villages at night, silently, efficiently. They would take women, children, warriors, carry them back to Lovelock Cave, and feast. For generations, the Paiute lived in terror. They couldn't fight back effectively. The giants were too strong, too fast, too savage. Arrows bounced off their thick skin, spears barely penetrated. And if you wounded one, the others would hunt your entire family, systematically, brutally. They coded payment. But around 1000 BCE, something changed. The Paiute had enough. Multiple tribes formed an alliance, something unprecedented in their history. They created a plan, not to fight the Sitika in open combat, but to trap them, to exterminate them. Every last one. The Paiute warriors studied the giants' patterns. They always returned to Lovelock Cave after hunting, always at dawn. The cave was their fortress, their home. Massive entrance, deep tunnels, underground chambers where they stored their food. Human remains, hundreds of them. The Paiute warriors waited until every Sitika giant was inside the cave. Then they struck. They piled brush, wood, dried grass, everything that would burn, stacked it 20 feet high at the cave entrance, and set it ablaze. The fire roared. Smoke filled the cave. The giants screamed, roared, pounded on the rocks from inside. Some tried to escape, burst through the flames, skin burning, hair on fire. The Paiute warriors were ready. They shot them with arrows dipped in poison, threw spears, attacked in coordinated groups. The oral history says the battle lasted 3 days. 3 days of screaming, burning, dying, until finally, silence. For thousands of years, this was just a story, a tribal legend about defeating monsters. Then, in 1911, miners entered Lovelock Cave, looking for bat guano to sell as fertilizer. And they found something else. Bones. Massive bones. Human-like, but too large to be human. Skulls measuring over 12 inches from base to crown. Femurs indicating heights between 7 and 8 feet. And something else. Red hair. Preserved in the dry cave environment, still attached to some skulls. I was part of the team that conducted modern analysis in 2009. We used ground-penetrating radar, carbon dating, DNA sequencing. The results were shocking. The bones were approximately 3,000 years old. DNA showed they were human, but with genetic anomalies. Gigantism, caused by a mutation in the growth hormone gene. These people suffered from a condition that made them grow continuously, no natural limit, some reaching heights of 9 feet or more. And the red hair? Confirmed. European genetic markers, suggesting these giants came from across the ocean, thousands of years before Columbus, before the Vikings. They were ancient wanderers who settled in Nevada and developed a taste for human flesh. But the most disturbing discovery came later. Deep in the cave system, we found a chamber sealed off by collapsed rocks. Inside, the remains of at least 60 humans. Men, women, children. Some with bite marks on their bones. Some dismembered. Some appeared to have been kept alive for weeks, fed minimally, like livestock. The Paiute were telling the truth. Every detail of their story was accurate. The giants were real. The cannibalism was real. The massacre was real. But here's what haunts me. We found something else in that sealed chamber. Sandals. Massive sandals, made from woven reeds, measuring 15 inches long. Not 8 feet tall, not 9 feet tall. These sandals would fit someone 12 to 15 feet tall. Which means the Paiute didn't kill all the giants. They killed the small ones, the juveniles, the ones trapped in the cave that night. But the oral history mentions something else. The old ones escaped. The ancient giants who taught the young ones to hunt. They fled into the mountains, and we never found them. In 2011, exactly 100 years after the original discovery, hikers found something in the Nevada wilderness, 75 miles from Lovelock Cave. A circle of massive stones, each weighing over 2,000 pounds, arranged deliberately. In the center, a fire pit. Carbon dating showed it was last used 200 years ago. Not 3,000 years ago, 200 years ago. 1811. Which means something was still living out there, still making fires. Still surviving, long after we thought they were extinct. The Paiute elders say their grandparents told stories of seeing the 1800s, of hearing strange calls echoing through canyons, of entire hunting parties disappearing, never found, never explained. The U.S. government closed Lovelock Cave to the public in 1984. Official reason? Structural instability. But I've been inside. The structure is fine. They don't want people exploring deeper because there are more chambers, sealed chambers that we haven't opened yet. And ground-penetrating radar shows something in there. Large masses that could be rocks or could be more remains. Bigger remains. Last year, a park ranger contacted me privately. He'd found something near Lovelock. Didn't want to report it officially. Photographs showed a cave opening, hidden behind brush, and inside the opening, bones. Massive bones, arranged in a pattern, like a burial or a warning. I haven't gone to investigate. Part of me doesn't want to know. Part of me hopes the Paiute were right, that they killed them all. But another part of me, the scientist part, knows that nature doesn't work that way. Species don't go extinct overnight. There are always survivors, always stragglers, always the ones that got away. The Paiute have a saying, passed down for 3,000 years. When the mountains shake and the caves breathe smoke, the red-haired giants will return. And this time, they will remember what we did. Nevada has over 300 unexplored cave systems. Deep caves, unmapped caves. And sometimes, hikers don't come back. Rangers find abandoned campsites, food left behind, tents still zipped, but no bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle, just gone. The official explanation is always the same: lost in the wilderness, fell into a ravine, animal attack. But I've seen the incident reports, the patterns. All disappearances happen in the same region, within 100 miles of Lovelock Cave. All happen at night. All happen to groups of 2 to 4 people. Never solo hikers, never large groups. Like something is hunting, selectively, carefully, intelligently. I don't hike in Nevada anymore. I don't recommend anyone else does either, especially not near Lovelock, especially not at night. Because the Paiute were right about the giants. They were right about the cannibalism. They were right about the massacre. And they might be right about one more thing. The old ones escaped, and they never forgot. They never forgave. Last month, the park ranger stopped responding to my emails.
I called the station. They said he quit. Moved out of state. No forwarding information, just gone. Like he'd seen something that made him run. I think about those 15-inch sandals, about the sealed chambers, about the unexplained disappearances. And I wonder, what if the Paiute didn't kill them all? What if they just made them angry? What if they're still out there, waiting, watching, remembering? And one day, when we've forgotten the old stories, when we've stopped believing in giants, they'll come back and finish what they started 3,000 years ago, when humans were prey and titans walked the earth, hunting us. The Paiute remember, even if we don't. Kandahar Province, Afghanistan, 2002. 1 year after 9/11, U.S. Special Forces conducting operations in the mountainous regions near the Pakistan border. This is the story of what they found there. A story the government doesn't want you to know. A story that was classified immediately. A story about a giant. My name is Redacted. I can't tell you my real name. I can't tell you my rank. I can't even tell you which unit I was with. But I can tell you what I saw. What we all saw. On November 3rd, 2002, in the mountains of Kandahar, we were hunting Taliban. Standard search and destroy operation. 6-man team, experienced operators. We'd been in Afghanistan for 8 months, seen combat dozens of times. We thought we'd seen everything. We were wrong. The mission was simple. Intel suggested a Taliban cell was hiding in a cave system. Grid coordinates. Our job was to confirm presence, call in air support if needed. Standard procedure. Nothing about that day seemed unusual. Until we lost contact with Able Team. Able Team was 4 operators. They'd gone ahead to scout the cave entrance. Last radio check, 1340 hours. Cave entrance located, moving to recon, will advise. Then silence. We tried raising them on radio. No response. GPS showed their position hadn't moved. They should have been responding. My team leader made the call. Bravo team, we're moving to Abel's position. Stay alert. Could be an ambush. We approached carefully. Weapons ready. Scanning for Taliban. For IEDs. For anything. What we found was worse than any ambush. Able Team's gear was scattered everywhere. Weapons on the ground, radios smashed. Body armor torn apart, like it had been ripped off, not unbuckled. Ripped. And blood. So much blood. But no bodies. Our medic checked the blood. This is fresh, less than 10 minutes old. My team leader keyed his radio. Base, this is Bravo Actual. We have a situation. Able Team is MIA. Evidence of hostile contact. Request immediate QRF. Quick Reaction Force was 45 minutes out. We had to wait. In a hostile area. With something out there. Something that had taken 4 trained operators in less than 10 minutes. That's when we heard it. A sound I'll never forget. Deep, resonant, like a foghorn mixed with a roar. Coming from inside the cave. And it was getting closer. Louder. Contact!
Cave entrance!
We all spun toward the sound, weapons up, ready. And then it emerged. I don't have words to properly describe it. 15 feet tall, maybe more. Pale skin, covered in matted red hair, wearing some kind of animal hide clothing, and carrying one of our operators. Like a doll. Like a fucking toy. In one hand. The giant looked at us, eyes yellow, pupils vertical, like a goat or a demon. And it smiled, showed teeth, rows of them, like a shark. Open fire! We lit it up. M4 carbines, full auto. At 50 meters we couldn't miss. 100+ rounds hit center mass.
It barely flinched. Dropped our teammate. And charged. I've never seen anything move that fast. Not at that size. It covered 50 meters in seconds. We scattered. Tactical dispersal, trying to flank it. It grabbed our point man, Johnson, picked him up with one hand, by his vest, lifted him off the ground, and threw him like a javelin. Johnson flew 30 feet, hit a boulder, didn't get up. Fall back to rally point! We ran, full retreat, against every instinct, against our training. But you can't fight something like that with rifles. The giant didn't chase us. It stood there, watching, like it was deciding whether we were worth hunting. Then it turned back to the cave,
Picked up Johnson's body
and dragged it inside.
QRF arrived 20 minutes later. 12 additional operators. Heavy weapons. Our team leader briefed them. We've got a giant hostile, 15 feet, shrugged off small arms fire, took 2 of our men. The QRF commander looked skeptical. Giant hostile? You mean a large insurgent? No, I mean a giant, 15 feet tall, inhuman. They didn't believe us. Not until they saw the cave entrance, the bloodstains, the size of the footprints, 3 feet long, pressed 6 inches deep into hard-packed earth. Holy shit. The QRF commander called for air support. Negative on air support. Mission is now classified. Engage hostile with ground forces only. We assembled at the cave entrance. 20 operators. Heavy machine guns, grenade
Launchers. And one man with a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle. That would be the weapon that saved us. We entered the cave. Thermal imaging showed a massive heat signature, deep inside, not moving. We advanced carefully. The cave widened into a chamber, and there it was, sitting, eating. I won't describe what it was eating, but we recognized the gear. Target acquired. We opened fire, every weapon, simultaneously. The giant roared, charged. It moved through gunfire like rain, bullets hitting, penetrating, but not stopping it. It grabbed the first operator, ripped his arm off, literally tore it from the socket. That's when the Barrett fired. Boom! 50 caliber round, armor piercing, hit the giant in the chest. It stumbled. Another round. Headshot. The giant's skull exploded. It collapsed. Finally, we confirmed the kill. Approached carefully. It was dead. But even dead, it was terrifying. We radioed command. Hostile neutralized, requesting extraction and cleanup crew. Negative, remain in position, specialized team inbound. Specialized team? What the hell did that mean? They arrived in unmarked helicopters. No insignias, no unit patches. Men in black tactical gear. They cordoned off the cave, took photographs, measurements, loaded the giant's body into a cargo net, airlifted it out. Then they turned to us. You didn't see anything here. This incident is classified above top secret. You will never speak of this to anyone, ever. We signed documents, NDAs with criminal penalties. They confiscated all video, all photographs, all physical evidence, and sent us home, separately, to different units, to different bases. They split us up, made sure we could never compare stories. But I remember everything. The yellow eyes, the shark teeth, the impossible strength. And I remember what we found in the back of the cave before the Black Ops team arrived, while we were securing the area. Bones. Human bones. Dozens of skeletons, some in Soviet uniforms from the 1980s invasion, some in British uniforms from the 1800s, and some wearing armor, ancient armor, bronze, with Greek inscriptions. From Alexander the Great's army, 200,000 years old. That giant had been there for centuries, maybe longer. Hunting, eating, surviving. And we killed it. But here's what keeps me up at night: the footprints outside the cave. There were 2 sets, 2 different sizes. We only killed 1 giant. Where's the other one? Is it still out there? In those mountains? Waiting? The Taliban won't go near that cave system. Local villages have stories of the Red Jinn, a demon that lives in the mountains, that takes people. They've known for generations. We just found out. I left the military in 2005. Couldn't handle it anymore. Nightmares every night. PTSD. Not from combat, from that thing. From knowing that monsters are real. Knowing the government is hiding it. Knowing there might be more. In 2019, I tried to file a Freedom of Information Act request for any documents related to the incident. They denied it. No such operation exists in our records. But I was there. 20 other operators were there. We all saw it. We all know the truth. Some of my teammates didn't make it. Johnson died in that cave. 3 others committed suicide within 5 years. Couldn't live with what they'd seen. Couldn't talk about it. Couldn't process it. The government's silence killed them. I'm speaking out now because I don't care anymore. I'm old, sick. They can't hurt me worse than the memories already do. The world needs to know. Giants are real. They're not extinct. They're hiding in caves, in mountains, in places humans don't go. And maybe they're waiting for us to forget, for us to stop believing, for us to walk into their territory unprepared, unarmed, vulnerable. The Kandahar giant is dead. We killed it. But it wasn't the last one. I'm certain of that. Because before it died, before that 50 cal round ended it, it spoke. In a language I didn't recognize. Ancient, guttural. But one word was clear. One word I understood. Nephilim. It called itself Nephilim, the giants from the Bible, the offspring of angels and humans, the ones God flooded the world to destroy. But they didn't all die. Some survived. In the mountains, in the caves, waiting. And now we've killed one of their last. What if they remember? What if they come back? What if that wasn't the last time? Special forces still operate in those mountains. Taliban still hide in those caves. And sometimes, entire patrols disappear without a trace. No bodies, no evidence, just gone. Like something hunted them. Something big. Something that remembers. I won't go back to Afghanistan. I won't go near those mountains. And if you're ever deployed there, if you're ever in Kandahar province, if you're ever near those caves, listen to the locals. Stay out of the red zones. And if you hear that sound, that deep, resonant roar, run. Don't investigate. Don't engage. Just run. Because the Kandahar giant is dead, but the Nephilim are forever. Northern Arizona, Hopi tribal lands, ancient underground cities that shouldn't exist, built by beings that saved humanity, beings we call the Ant People. My name is Dr. Thomas Blackfeather, 56 years old, anthropologist and enrolled member of the Hopi tribe. I've spent 30 years documenting my people's oral traditions, and one story appears again and again across every clan, every generation. The story of the Anusinom, the Ant People, the beings who saved humanity when the world ended. Not once, but 3 times. Hopi cosmology describes 4 worlds. The first world was destroyed by fire. Volcanoes erupted simultaneously across the planet. The sky turned black. Temperatures soared. Humanity faced extinction. That's when the Ant People appeared, emerging from underground. They looked strange, our elders say. Large heads, thin bodies, large black eyes. Sound familiar? Like modern descriptions of gray aliens. But these weren't aliens. They were Earth's original inhabitants, living underground for millions of years. And they took pity on us. The Ant People led humans underground, showed them vast cavern systems, cities carved from solid rock, with water sources, food storage,
air circulation systems, technology we couldn't understand. But they saved us, fed us from their stores, even though it meant they would starve. The elders say the ant people grew thin. Their bodies resembled ants, with tiny waists, because they gave humans most of the food, sacrificing themselves to save us.
When the first world's fires finally stopped, humans emerged, returned to the surface, built the second world. But we forgot the ant people, forgot their sacrifice, became arrogant, and the second world was destroyed by ice, what scientists call the Ice Age. The sky froze. Temperatures dropped below survival. Megafauna died. Mammoths, saber-tooths, giant sloths, all frozen. And humans faced extinction again. Once more, the ant people emerged. Once more, they saved us, led us underground, fed us, sheltered us for thousands of years, until the ice melted, until the third world could begin. I used to think these were just myths, beautiful stories teaching lessons about gratitude and humility. But then I saw the evidence, the physical evidence that the ant people were real. In 1997, I was part of an archaeological survey mapping cave systems in northern Arizona. We found something unexpected. A shaft, vertical, going straight down. We lowered cameras on cables, descended 200 feet. Then the shaft opened into a chamber, a carved chamber, with walls covered in pictographs, showing humans and others, beings with large heads, thin bodies, leading humans underground, exactly like the oral traditions described. We descended into the chamber, found tunnels branching in multiple directions, each tunnel carved with precision, laser straight, smooth walls, no tool marks. How did ancient people carve miles of tunnel without metal tools, without modern equipment? They didn't. The ant people did. We explored deeper, found more chambers, some filled with pottery, some with tool remains, and some with bones. Strange bones, humanoid, but wrong proportions. Large skulls, thin limb bones, like beings adapted for underground life, like beings who never saw sunlight. We sent samples for analysis. Carbon dating showed they were 12,000 years old, right at the end of the Ice Age. DNA analysis showed human ancestry, but with significant genetic drift, like a population isolated for tens of thousands of years, evolving separately, becoming something else. The Hopi elders weren't surprised by our findings. "We told you they were real," they said. "We told you they saved us." Why didn't you believe? Because Western science dismisses oral traditions, calls them mythology, primitive beliefs. But the Hopi were right about everything. The elders told us more, things not in the written records, things passed down only through ceremony. They said the ant people still exist, deep underground, in cities we haven't found, cities that span continents, connected by tunnels, ancient subway systems built millions of years ago by a civilization that predates humans, that decided to go underground to let us have the surface. But there's a warning in the traditions. When the fourth world ends, when humanity destroys itself again, the ant people will emerge one final time. But this time, they won't save everyone. Only those who remember. Only those who are humble. Only those who respect the earth. Everyone else will be left on the surface to face whatever comes.
In 2003, the US government closed access to those tunnels. Official reason, archaeological preservation. But I know the real reason. We found something else down there, in the deepest chamber, before they shut us down. A door. A massive door, made of metal we couldn't identify, with symbols we couldn't translate. And it was warm, radiating heat, like something was on the other side, something alive, something waiting. We tried to open it, used every tool we had, pry bars, hammers, power tools. Nothing worked. The door was sealed from the inside,
Like whoever was down there didn't want to come out. Not yet.
2 days later, military arrived, evacuated us from the site, classified everything, filled in the shaft with concrete. The official record says we found nothing, just empty caves. But I was there. I saw the pictographs, the bones, the door. And I heard something right before we were evacuated, a sound from behind that door. Tapping, rhythmic tapping, like Morse code, or like communication. I've had linguists analyze the recording I secretly made. The tapping follows a pattern, mathematical, prime numbers, the universal language used to signal intelligence. Someone on the other side was trying to communicate. The ant people.
Still down there. Still watching. Still waiting. Hopi prophecy says the fourth world will end soon. Climate change, nuclear weapons, biological warfare. Take your pick. Humanity is destroying itself. Again. And when we do, that door will open. The ant people will emerge, and they'll decide who deserves to be saved, who has been humble, who has respected the earth, who has remembered the old stories. I've spent my life trying to preserve those stories, teaching young Hopi about our history, about the ant people, about the lessons they taught. Most people don't listen. Most people think it's mythology. But I've seen the evidence. I've touched the door. I've heard the tapping. And I know they're still down there, watching us destroy ourselves, deciding if we're worth saving. Last year, something strange happened. Seismologists recorded unusual activity deep underground, beneath northern Arizona. Not earthquakes, too regular, too rhythmic, like machinery, like something powering up after millions of years. The ant people are waking up, getting ready, because they know The fourth world is ending, and the fifth world is about to begin, with or without us. If you want to survive, learn the old stories, respect the earth, be humble, because when that door opens, when the ant people emerge, they'll be choosing who goes underground and who stays behind to face the end. I hope I'm chosen. I've spent my life honoring them, telling their story, teaching respect. But I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if anyone is doing enough. And that terrifies me. Because the ant people saved us twice. They won't save us a third time. Unless we've learned, unless we've changed, unless we've remembered. The tapping continues, every night, getting louder, getting faster, getting closer, to the day when the door opens and the ant people return. Cappadocia, Turkey, 1963. A man renovating his basement discovers a tunnel that leads to an underground city, a city that housed 20,000 people during the Ice Age, when the surface world was uninhabitable. This is the story of how humanity survived. My name is Dr. Elena Volkov, 48 years old, archaeologist specializing in ancient underground structures. I've explored Derinkuyu more times than I can count. Each time, I discover something new, something impossible, something that challenges everything we know about ancient humans. Because they shouldn't have been able to build this, not with primitive tools, not without modern engineering. Not unless they had help. Derinkuyu goes down 18 stories, 280 feet beneath the surface, with ventilation shafts extending even deeper. It has everything a city needs: living quarters for 20,000 people, food storage rooms, wine and oil presses, stables for animals, chapels, schools, an entire civilization underground. But here's what makes it terrifying: the dating. Official archaeology says it was built around 8th century BCE, 2,800 years ago. But that's wrong. We know it's wrong, because we found something deeper, something older, much older. In 2018, I was part of a team using ground-penetrating radar, mapping sections of Derinkuyu that hadn't been excavated. We found anomalies, voids in the rock, chambers that weren't on any map, deeper than anyone had gone before. Level 19, a level that officially doesn't exist. We petitioned the Turkish government for permission to excavate. They denied it. Too dangerous, structural instability. But I knew that was an excuse. They didn't want us going deeper because they knew what was down there. I went anyway, unofficially, with 3 colleagues, late at night when the site was closed. We brought drilling equipment, broke through the sealed passage at level 18, descended into level 19, and found hell. The chamber was massive, size of an aircraft hangar, but carved from solid rock, with tool marks that made no sense. Smooth, precise, uniform,
like laser cutting, but 12,000 years ago. We carbon dated the soot on the walls from ancient torches, 12,400 years old, end of the Ice Age.
When the Younger Dryas event happened, when global temperatures plummeted, when the megafauna died, when humanity nearly went extinct. But some survived. By going underground, by building cities in the rock, by waiting out the ice for thousands of years. And they weren't alone down there. We found remains, human remains, thousands of them, in a mass burial chamber. Men, women, children, all showing signs of malnutrition, bone diseases, vitamin D deficiency, from living without sunlight for generations. These people were born underground, lived their entire lives underground, died underground, never seeing the sky, never feeling wind, never knowing anything but darkness and stone. But something else was in that chamber. Pictographs covering the walls, showing what they feared, what kept them underground. The drawings showed the surface world frozen, dead, lifeless. And something else. Figures, large figures, walking through the ice, hunting. The pictographs showed humans fleeing, being chased, being caught, being killed by giants, ice giants, creatures adapted to the cold, creatures that thrived when humanity suffered. Our team found something else, deeper still. A sealed door, massive, stone, circular, weighing at least 500 pounds, designed to roll closed from the inside to keep something out or to keep something in. We managed to open it. Took all 4 of us pushing. It rolled aside with a grinding sound, revealing a tunnel leading down even deeper. We descended for what felt like hours. The tunnel spiraled downward, getting colder, getting darker, until we reached another chamber. This one was different. Natural cave, not carved, with ice on the walls. Ice that shouldn't exist, not this far underground, not in Turkey's climate. But it was there. Ancient ice, 12,000 years old, preserved somehow, and frozen in that ice were bodies, not human, too large, 8 to 9 feet tall, pale skin, white hair, eyes still open, perfectly preserved, like they'd been flash frozen. The ice giants from the pictographs. They were real. We took samples, photographs, measurements. Then we heard something. Cracking. The ice was cracking. Temperature was rising. Our equipment, our lights, generating heat. The bodies were starting to thaw. We need to leave, now! We ran, back up the tunnel. Behind us, the cracking got louder.
like an avalanche, like the entire ice wall was collapsing. We made it to level 19, sealed the stone door behind us, heard something slam against it. From the other side, something heavy, something alive. We reported everything to the authorities, showed them the photographs, the samples, the evidence. They confiscated everything, sealed level 19 with concrete, banned all further excavation, and denied that
we'd found anything.
Official statement: structural collapse, no archaeological significance. But I was there. I saw the bodies. I heard them waking up. The Ice Age giants didn't all die. Some were preserved, frozen in time, waiting. And now, with global warming, with ice melting worldwide, they're waking up. In Siberia, in Antarctica, in deep caves beneath Turkey, wherever ancient ice is melting, they're emerging. Last year, Turkish military cordoned off the area around Derinkuyu, 50-mile radius. No explanation given, but seismic activity has increased. Not earthquakes, movement. Underground movement, like something large, walking through those tunnels. Coming up. Local villagers report sounds at night. Roaring. Coming from ventilation shafts. Some shafts show heat signatures, like something below is generating warmth, like something is alive. I'm writing this from a safe house. I can't go back to Turkey. Can't publish my findings officially. But people need to know. The ice giants are real. They're waking up. And they're angry. Humanity stole their world when the Ice Age ended, when the climate warmed. We took the surface back, and they retreated underground, went into hibernation. But now we're changing the climate again, warming it too fast, melting their ice, destroying their refuge, and they're coming back to reclaim what was theirs. Derinkuyu wasn't built to hide from surface threats. It was built to hide from what lived underground. The ancient humans knew the giants were down there, knew they'd wake up eventually. So they built walls, doors, defenses, and prayed that the ice would hold, that the giants would sleep forever. But the ice is melting, the doors are opening, and the prayers went unanswered. My name is Emma Rodriguez, 29 years old, graphic designer in Seattle, Washington. November 2022. The month I discovered my husband had a storage unit. A unit I didn't know about, filled with information about me, about my entire life. Information he shouldn't have had. I met Daniel in college, junior year, art history class. He was funny, smart, charming. We dated for 4 years before getting married. 2021. Pandemic wedding, small ceremony. Daniel was perfect, attentive, thoughtful, almost too thoughtful. He always knew exactly what I wanted before I asked. My favorite coffee ready before my alarm went off. The book I'd been thinking about buying wrapped on my pillow. Reservations at restaurants I'd mentioned once in passing. "How did you know I wanted this?" I'd ask. "I pay attention," he'd say, smiling. "I know you." I thought it was romantic, thoughtful. In November, Daniel said he needed to visit his parents for a few days, out of state, emergency. "You don't have to come, family stuff. I'll be back Friday." He left Tuesday morning. I was sorting through paperwork that afternoon, bills, insurance, random mail. Found a receipt. Secure Store Self-Storage. Monthly charge, $95. I didn't know we had a storage unit. We lived in a small apartment, not much storage space, but not much stuff either. What was in this unit? Why didn't Daniel mention it? I called the storage facility. "Hi, I'm calling about Unit 412. My husband, Daniel Rodriguez, rents it. I need to access it, but forgot my key." "One moment, ma'am. Let me check. Unit 412 is rented to Daniel Rodriguez, but I'm sorry,
You're not listed as an authorized user. I can't let you in without his written permission."
I'm his wife. "I understand, but our policy requires written authorization from the renter." I hung up. Why wasn't I authorized? What was Daniel hiding? I decided to go there. Secure Store Self-Storage, 20 minutes from our apartment. I arrived at 7 p.m. The facility was mostly empty. Security lights on, nobody at the office. I walked to Unit 412, third floor, end of the hallway. The lock was a combination lock, not keyed. I didn't know the combination. I tried our anniversary. Click. The lock opened. Of course he'd use our anniversary. I rolled up the door, turned on the light inside. The unit was covered in papers, wall to wall, floor to ceiling. Papers, photos, documents, all about me. Every wall covered. Photos of me, from before I met Daniel. High school photos, college photos, photos from my childhood. Where did he get these? I walked closer. Not just photos, documents. My birth certificate, social security card, medical records, school transcripts, report cards from elementary school. How did he have these? My parents didn't even have copies of some of these. On one wall, a timeline. My entire life, year by year. Emma Rodriguez, life timeline. Born February 14, 1993. Age 5, started kindergarten, Mrs. Patterson's class. Age 8, broke arm falling from tree. Age 12, first crush, Tommy Jenkins. Age 16, lost virginity, Kevin Ward. Details, intimate details. Things I'd never told Daniel.
Things nobody should know. I kept reading. Age 19, met Daniel Rodriguez, October 15th, 2012, Art History 301. Then, below that, contact plan initiated. Phase 1, establish proximity, same class. Phase 2, initiate friendship, study group. Phase 3, emotional connection, shared interests. Phase 4, romantic relationship, first date, January 2013. He'd planned it. Our meeting wasn't random. He'd targeted me.
I moved to another wall. More documents. Emma's preferences. Lists. Detailed lists. Favorite foods, updated monthly. Coffee preferences, detailed log. Reading habits, authors, genres, purchase dates. Exercise routine, tracked since 2015. Sleep patterns, documented. Social media activity, archived. He'd been tracking everything. For years. Since before we dated. On the back
Wall. The worst part. Life decisions. Orchestrated. A chart. My major life decisions. With notes. 2015. Change major from biology to graphic design. Note. Subtly discouraged science programs, suggested art career, planted graphic design brochures, arranged chance meeting with designer friend who encouraged switch. I remember that. How I'd suddenly lost interest in biology. How I'd randomly met a designer who changed my perspective. It wasn't random. Daniel had orchestrated it. More entries. 2017. Accept job at Design Hub instead of moving to New York. Note. Created anonymous negative reviews of NYC position. Arranged competing offer at local firm. Ensured she'd stay in Seattle. I'd turned down that New York job. My dream job. Because of bad reviews I'd found online. Reviews Daniel had written. More entries. 2019. Cut contact with best friend Sarah. Note. Created fake social media accounts, posted content suggesting Sarah was unreliable, spread rumors through mutual friends, ensured Emma would distance herself. I remembered that. Sarah and I had a falling out. Over nothing, really. Just drifted apart. Daniel had orchestrated it. More entries. 2020. Pandemic isolation. Optimal control period. Note. Limited social contact. Increased dependency. Monitored all communication. Perfect environment for bonding. 2021. Marriage proposal. Accepted as predicted. Note. Used accumulated behavioral data to create perfect proposal scenario. Timing, location, words, all calculated for maximum emotional impact. 97% success probability. Outcome, success. He'd planned our engagement. Every detail, every word he'd said, every moment. Calculated, predicted, orchestrated. The final section was labeled Future Projections. 2023, first child, preference for daughter, name suggestions prepared. 2025, career shift to freelance, increase home dependency. 2027, relocation to rural area, minimize external influences. 2030, complete integration, subject fully adapted to designed life path. Subject. He called me subject. Not Emma, not wife, not person. Subject. I heard a sound behind me. Footsteps in the hallway. Daniel. He was supposed to be out of state. Wasn't supposed to be back until Friday. It was Tuesday. Emma? His voice, close, getting closer. I looked around the storage unit. No other exit, just the one door. The door he was walking toward. I saw his shadow in the hallway, getting larger. I grabbed my phone, took photos, fast, every wall, every document. Evidence. Then I heard it. The lock. He was locking the door from outside. Daniel, I'm in here. No response. The lock clicked shut. I tried the door. Wouldn't open. "Daniel, let me out!" His voice came through the door, calm, measured. "You weren't supposed to find this." "What is all this? What have you been doing?" "Protecting my research, protecting my life's work." "Your research? I'm your wife, not your research." "You're both. You're the most successful subject I've ever had. 7 years of perfect data, perfect behavioral modification, perfect life design." "You're insane. Let me out, now!" "I can't do that. You've seen everything. You'll ruin it. You'll ruin years of work." I backed away from the door. The storage unit was small, 10 by 10 feet, no windows, concrete walls. One door locked. I called 911 on my phone. No signal. The facility was underground, concrete and metal everywhere. No cell reception. "Daniel, please, you can't keep me in here." "I don't want to, but you forced this. You violated the research protocol. You accessed unauthorized data." "This isn't research. This is my life." "Your life is the research. It always has been. From the moment I selected you, from the moment I designed our first meeting, from the moment I calculated our compatibility. Everything you think was choice was design. Everything you think was chance was planning." "You're sick. You need help." "I'm a behavioral scientist. I'm conducting the most comprehensive long-term human behavioral study ever attempted. And you're my masterpiece." I heard him walking away, footsteps fading. "Daniel, come back! You can't leave me here!" He was gone. I pounded on the door, screamed. No one came. The storage facility was empty. Late at night, no security on duty. Just automated access, digital locks, cameras that no one monitored. I tried the door lock, combination lock, digital display. I didn't know the code. Tried our anniversary. Wrong. Tried my birthday. Wrong. Tried Daniel's birthday. Wrong. Tried random numbers. All wrong. I sat down, back against the wall, surrounded by my own life, documented, analyzed, predicted. Every decision I'd ever made, every relationship I'd ever had, every moment I thought was mine. Designed, controlled, orchestrated by the man I'd married, by the man I'd trusted, by the man I'd never really known. I don't know how long I was in there. Hours, maybe days. No food, no water, no bathroom. Just me and the walls of my life. Eventually, the police found me. My sister had called them. When I didn't show up to meet her. When I didn't answer my phone. They tracked my car to the storage facility, used bolt cutters on the lock, found me unconscious, dehydrated, hypothermic. I was hospitalized for 3 days. When I recovered, I told them everything, showed them the photos I'd taken. Police searched the storage unit. Empty. Completely empty. Walls bare. No papers, no documents, no timeline. Nothing. Daniel had cleaned it out. Hours before police arrived. Removed every piece of evidence. And the photos on my phone? Corrupted. every single one. Digital corruption, unrecoverable, like they'd never existed. Daniel was never found, disappeared. No trace, no bank activity, no phone records, no sightings. Police think he fled the country, changed identity, started over somewhere else, with someone else. Another subject, another life to design, another person to control. And I'm left wondering, how much of me is actually me? Which decisions were mine? Which thoughts were planted? Which feelings were real? Was any of it real? Was I ever really Emma Rodriguez? Or was I always just subject? I changed my name, moved to a different state, deleted all social media, started over. Tried to make choices that felt like mine, tried to be someone new, someone Daniel hadn't designed. But sometimes I wonder if he predicted this too, if this is part of the plan, if my escape was orchestrated, if my new life is just another phase of his research, if somewhere in some other storage unit there's a wall labeled Post-Discovery Behavior, Phase 8. And if he's still watching, still documenting, still designing my life, from somewhere I can't see, in a way I can't detect, forever. Because some experiments never end, some subjects never escape, and some marriages were never marriages at all. Just research, just data, just a life that was never really yours. Chapter 5 Stories. 5 people who thought they knew their spouse, who thought they were safe in their own homes. Names have been changed, details altered. But the betrayal, the manipulation, the secrets, that part's real. If you're watching this tonight, pay attention to the locked doors, the unexplained receipts, the browser history that's been cleared, the phone that's password protected. Because some secrets aren't harmless, some lies aren't small, and sometimes the person you married is someone you never knew at all. Thanks for watching Horror Nexus. If these stories disturbed you, hit that subscribe button, because next week I've got more true psychological horror. Stay safe out there, and remember, not every secret comes out. Some stay hidden forever, buried in basements, locked in storage units, waiting in the dark, until it's too late to escape.